trust you are well. I am going to make a very difficult video. Okay, it is a very difficult video for me for many reasons. A lot of people have tried to draw me into this conversation and I have refused to draw. Let me tell you why. I don't like engaging with people who are emotive and don't use this. And on some topics, it's almost inevitable for the majority of people to default to their feelings rather than here. So there is a whole tribal thing going on between the Punos and the other tribes, particularly the Asantes. And when that happened, as a girl, a Puno girl, I told you guys I'm a Puno girl and I'm not afraid to tell you I'm a Puno girl. And as a Puno girl, my respect is split in interesting ways. So anybody will have their respect to whoever governs and rules them. But I've told you also that the Doma is somebody I've never met before. I've not met him. I don't have any engagements with him. And I don't even agree with him on a lot of things. But you see, your leaders are your leaders and don't leave your agreement before you respect. And I stand by that like most people do. You know that this is tribal, so I don't want to go there. And the subject of this matter is also a Puno guy who had gone to a Puno event. A lot of the people who are very vocal in this and involved are Puno people. So because of the tribal thing, I did not want to go there. Okay. The other thing is that they are still in pain in the middle of this. And when people are in pain, they deserve the dignity to suffer the pain without extra aggravation. And so I don't want to do this. However, this particular line has been compelling because I made a couple of videos when his story from the other side broke. And a person comes to me, gives me a context, and I feel morally obligated to address the sisters. So let's talk. When Kofi Adoma decided that he wasn't going to be with his wife of some years, I don't know how many years, if the social media rhetoric is to be believed, he had, I think, 3 children with this woman. And then he decided he was no longer going to be with this woman and that he was in love with Miracle Adoma. And there was a whole razzmatazz about it. I made a couple of videos and I addressed some sisters. This particular person who has managed to trigger me to come on and make this video was one of those sisters who contacted me at that time, and she says, Amma, I am experiencing exactly what this guy's wife is experiencing. I have been with this guy for 15 years. I have built with this guy. When he is now in a position to provide fully so that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor, he wants to leave me and go somewhere else. I know a lot of you are not from the community, so let me give you a very brief intro and then I'll get to what I want to say. Kofi Adoma is a broadcaster and his private life has become very public for quite a while. And one of the things that became very public about his life is his relationship. So at some point, he decided he was no longer interested in a relationship he had, that he was returning to a woman from his past. Again, I know very sketchy details, so forgive me. May not even be accurate, but this is what I heard in the rhetoric. And he had people who remove the ex-wife from his home somewhere in Kuntunsi. That is what came on the social media. People made videos about that, and then in the end of it, he was also attacked. He ended up in hospital. There was a whole razzmatazz around it, and now he's back in hospital with an eye injury. Okay, I have no comments about the eye injury. People want me to sit down and logically analyze. My brain is not logical. I cannot. And I don't want to come here and poke holes in things that I don't understand. And I cannot come and validate things I don't understand. So I have no comments to make about the injury and about the circumstances surrounding the injury and so on. I'm still mute on that one, nothing to say. But at the time, this sister had been done bad by her husband. So she comes to me and she says, look, Look at what is happening to Kofi Adoma's wife. Look at this is exactly what my husband has done to me. And I said something to her that she has just referred me to that I cannot ignore, is why I am telling this camera. I told her that sometimes the Lord knows what is coming, and he knows that the cross is too heavy for you, and so he gives you a get out of jail free clause. And I told her at the time of a distant family member I have who did exactly the same thing to his long-standing wife. Within 8 months of this event, he was struck by a stroke. He became a vegetable, full-on vegetable, could not speak, he had to be fed like a baby. His backside had to be wiped. And I remember when the breakdown happened, when the guy said he did not want his wife again, the wife came crying to my parents, asking my parents to intervene. My parents attempted to intervene. I remember this guy telling my dad in no uncertain terms about how this woman was not his league anymore, he had found something better, and what does my dad want him to do? To stay and get a short change of what his life can be. 8 months on the clock. He was struck. He was down. And when he was down, his care was full on. And yeah, my mother had told this woman in that process, sometimes the Lord wants to remove a cross from around your neck. So go home, drink water, thank God, and go for church service. And when this thing happened, the woman came running to my mother to come and tell my mother, hey, do you remember what you just said to me? It was as if, yeah, it's a gift I have. I got it from my 8 months. It wasn't even a year. He was down. And yes, his management was now a whole lot of stress. Lifting him, wiping him, and he was a solid man. So this woman, if she had remained his wife, would have been the one responsible for all this. Guess what? The new woman he was supposed to be with stayed with him maybe 2 or 3 months. And after that, she had had enough. She did not come for the suffrage. She picked her bags and she ran. So anyway, with this in mind, I said to my sister, hey, sometimes the Lord wants to remove a cross from around your neck. He knows that some crosses are heavy. And he knows you cannot bear them. And before they come, he will remove you from the situation. You've got to trust the Lord to know better, to be in control, to give you what you can take. So go home, wipe your face, go and rebuild, find employment, build a career, do something, care for your children. If he wants to pay for your children's school fees, accept it. If he refuses to pay, make sure you don't need the school fee payment. And that's what I said to her and sent her away. This would be maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Now this thing happens. So this is what has happened. This guy has now got a very, very serious eye injury, according to the reports. And from what we can hear in the social media rhetoric, he has been to Dubai for treatment, and I think he's gone somewhere in Europe for treatment. You can imagine the amount of money involved in taking him, and I've seen people even attempt to do fundraisers through GoFundMe and a few things. So it is serious money we are talking. And so the lady calls me, hey, Amma, the prophetess of doom. I wish at that time his ex-wife would have heard you and what you were saying. She would have been at peace. So this is from the perspective of the ex-wife, and I'm actually making this video for the sake of the woman scorned. When somebody decides you are no longer good enough for him, when somebody decides that he is running, instead of drinking rat poison and killing yourself, I want to give you a new perspective. And this story just plays into this perspective, and I cannot be a coward and run away from it. So I'm here. I do not have a problem with any of the characters. I don't know his new wife, and I have no problem with his new wife. All right? I am just addressing the sisters. If the new wife has an issue that I can address, I will. But at the moment, this one plays into his ex-woman and her story. That ex-woman sounds like somebody who was being kept by this guy. She didn't have money. She was a poor woman. This new one has money. This new one comes from money or has made money. I think if I've heard the stories right, when they were sharing their stories, she says her dad was a general or somebody. This one comes from money. This one has money. If we've heard of her benevolence to people, this one is not a poor woman. But even whilst he is with this woman who is not poor, when this eye injury brouhaha came, they have had to raise funds. And this is based off on this woman's depth and breadth and money. Can you imagine the other woman? What would she have done to try and manage? What would she have taken this guy to the UK with? With which money would she have taken him to Dubai? What could she have done in this situation? So from her perspective, there was a huge storm on its way. She was taken away from the picture maybe 2-3 years in advance. And so sometimes when you are being taken out of the picture in advance and you don't smell the storm, you don't hear anything indicative of the storm, it's difficult. Think back to Kofi Adoma's ex-wife, the one who was removed from the house, the one whose sisters were here crying. Which money would she have used to treat this guy in the States? Who did she know? The current wife is a very vocal woman, very powerful woman, very influential woman, and she's granting interviews. That's the reason why some people would have come to their aid, it sounds like to me. That other wife, with which English would she be speaking and with which influence would she have been addressing anybody? And who would have even been interested in listening to his other wife, his ex-wife, if she was on the television soliciting, advocating for her husband? His new wife is fearless. She has fire in her chest. She is actually a chief. When she has the mic, she beats her chest. That one is not afraid of nothing, and she's not afraid to speak. And it is exactly what this situation needs. Exactly what this situation needs. The other woman, put that other woman in this frame, and you will understand why when things happen to you, you be quiet and you go to church and you thank the Lord in faith, in humility, in acknowledging that you do not know what is to come. You do not know all the information. And so you will trust in his divine intervention, and that it is always well with your soul. Sometimes the best thing for you would be removal from the whole thing. And so for no apparent reason, a guy you have been with for many years will decide that you suddenly stink, and he's going off to go and find his better woman. Wish him luck, and wish yourself luck, and go, my sisters. Don't die, don't cry, because you don't know. If anybody knows his ex-wife who might still be crying because it will still be difficult, especially if you watch his relationship with his new woman. They are all over the place. She is all over his channel. He cannot make a sentence without his new woman. It would be difficult for the old woman to watch, and I'm very sure the old woman is still grieving. She may not be done. Knowing how the women from my country behave, she will still be grieving. She will still be telling people how this guy has done her bad. Sister, go to church and go thank God. Go to church and thank God. I wish him speedy recovery. I pray that their interventions work. And like I said, where he is the best place for him right now. The woman he is with has more resources to help him. So it is the right place for him. The poor woman would not have coped. And so Providence in its wisdom removed her before this storm hit. And I'm very sure she's still crying. If she is still crying, those of you who know her, tell her that she needs to go to church and thank God for his divine timely intervention that surpasses human understanding. It is this poor understanding, this lack of understanding that has us lamenting and bemoaning and crying about things that are in our interest. Imagine his poor wife in the situation of his current wife. How many of you feel that she would have been equipped to deal with this storm? I don't think so. From the little I have heard, I don't think so. And if she was not equipped to deal with this storm, can you imagine what she would be feeling right now? Even the woman who has the resources, even the woman with the lion heart, even the woman who is fearless, his current wife, you can see that it is taking an emotional toll on her. You can see whatever is going on is tough on all of them. I saw a video yesterday where Kofi was crying. If my husband cried, I would be in trouble. So I understand. Men don't cry easily. They don't even cry easily privately. So for them to come and sit on national television, and yes, those of you who are around Kofi, you need to start looking for psychological support for him. He is on the verge of depression. If you guys don't find him some support, the things he was saying in that video yesterday do not sound well. They don't sound well. He was talking about speaking before anything happens because he is suffering. So please make sure that you add psychological support to whatever interventions you have for him. But he himself who is walking that path is struggling. The woman he is with is going to be tormented. He says he can't sleep. Well, she's the one who also has to stay awake and nurse him. If he has weaknesses mentally, it is you who needs to also override your own or pretend yours doesn't exist and support. Jibodi, this job is not for weak women. This job is not for weak women. Only lionesses will be able to do this. Okay? Only lionesses will be able to do this. So sometimes the Lord looks at you and looks at your pathetic, wimpy self and realize that what is coming is too much for you. And that is when your husband will decide that he no longer wants you. You ask him for an explanation and he cannot explain. Oh, you like the message? Yeah, it is for the sisters. Good morning, okay? How you doing? Yes, he will look at the situation and realize, nah, you and your children cannot deal with this drama. Let me remove my daughter from this. And yes, your husband will wake up one day, meet one useless girl on the street and suddenly decide that that is where he wants to go. And that everything you and him have built together means nothing. It hurts, of course it hurts. You don't understand the whole situation, so it's difficult for you to be happy about what hurts. But promise me that you will think about it from this. Nothing happens without the Lord's permission. And often, providence is acting in advance to remove you from situations that you cannot handle. So it's painful. It hurts. But your answer is touche. Okay. All right. I smell. Okay. I had children with you and for you. And all of a sudden, my gestational injuries have made me a subhuman. Okay, this week I've been dealing with somebody who has a fistula. She has a fistula because she went to have a kid with this guy. And because of this injury, of course, her bowel movement is causing a lot of issues. Yeah. The video I saw of Kofi last night, it's not a video weak women will be able to get something as serious as a person's sight. It is not for children. To watch your leader struggle will play with your head. And this one is not just watching her leader struggle. This is one that empties your coffers. If you are not careful, by the time you finish such an episode, if your pockets were not deep, they will be empty. People are talking about $100,000. Now, how many of you have $100,000? Yeah? Even the $1,000, how many of us will be able to find it? And when you go abroad, when you go to the UK, for example, for treatment, like people are suggesting, you would be paying as an alien for treatment. Boy, even accommodation in England for the person, the hospital stay, it's not cheap, you know. And then those of you who are with him to support him, your transportation bills, this is not an easy battle. So the woman who was scorned, the woman who was dumped is actually a very lucky woman right now, isn't she? Yeah, this would have been her battle. It has been removed from her hand. Right now, she can sit somewhere, drink water, and mind her business. She doesn't need to wish him ill. That's not what I'm suggesting. She does not need to jubilate over what has happened to him. That is inhuman. But it is also not out of place for a person to sit sometimes and think, phew, the Lord removed me from this one. Phew! This would have been my fight if a person had not made their own decisions. And you know, especially in situations where you were not the one who made the decision. Here you are the lucky one. You are the lucky one. Today, I make this video for the sake of some of my lucky sisters. Blessed, divine intervention removes you from suffering. But because of understanding issues, you cry. You wail. You don't thank God for removing you. You blame him for not intervening. He has already intervened. He has taken you away from fire. But you are in church crying for him to return you to fire. He cannot answer that prayer now. He cannot answer that prayer. And because of that, some of you will be here feeling betrayed. The Lord hasn't answered your prayer. You are praying a stupid prayer. He cannot answer your stupid prayer because he knows that the stupid prayer will put you in trouble. You are his daughter. So even in your stupidity, in your ignorance, he still has to protect you. So he will keep you there. My husband, he abandoned me. Let him go. You don't know what is coming. Let him go. That's what I'm saying to you today. Let him go, Chica. Let him go. Let him go. I haven't done anything to him. The little girl has taken juju. If she's brought juju or jaja, it doesn't matter. Whatever the reason for it, if your husband has decided that suddenly you stink, take your stinky self and go find peace in a corner. You don't know what is to come. That's what I'm saying to you. On this life's journey, very interesting things happen. Very interesting things happen. It is not always for the good. Sometimes there is the bad on its way. There is the terrible. And you can't cope. So you are given a lease, a get out of jail clause for free. Girl, shut up and allow the Lord to intervene on your behalf. Allow the Lord to take you away from drama. Allow the Lord to do his magic and help you. At all times, know that the Lord knows more than you. Yeah, there is no explanation for why he wants to abandon you right now. Well, the Lord might be saving you from being his nest. You don't know. I've got so many examples. Let him go. Ha! This life is tough when a person wants you. Can you imagine when a person doesn't want you? The one who loves you safe. We know the seat up. When a person tells you he doesn't want you and he gives you good reasons why he doesn't, you stink. Your nyash is big. You a woman hole. You a man hole. You a... Okay. All right. Allow him to remove himself from you and your nonsense and take your nonsense and go find a peaceful existence somewhere is what I'm telling you this morning. I have to go there because the person I spoke to, the reference point was this Kofi Adoma case. She was using this reference. And look at what Kofi Adoma has done. And I'm like, hey, Kofi Adoma's wife may be the lucky one. The Lord might be removing her from something she cannot cope. That's what I said to her when this happened. The Lord might be removing her from something she cannot cope with. I did not know any of this. I did not know any of this. But from my experience, that's what I said to her. So when this happened, she's back and she says, hey, when you said it, when you said the Lord might be removing her from something she cannot cope with, I thought you were a lunatic. But look what has happened. And yeah, what is happening to that guy and his new wife is not for weaklings. Only the very tough will be able to cope. So you see, the Lord was doing her a favor and removing her from a situation. Did she know? No. Did she recognize? No. Did she appreciate? No. You don't blame her, but goodness. So this happens and she remembered what I said. We don't understand life. And in our misunderstandings, in our ignorance, we create situations that don't even exist. We find certain things as suffering, which are actually blessings. You are being removed. I just want you to think, not from the new wife's perspective, but from the old one. What a relief it must be right now to not be involved. What a relief it must be from the old woman's perspective. And yeah, The Lord, it's also for the guy's benefits. The Lord knew he would need money. And he knew this old woman did not have money. Yes. There are so many villages. You don't stay in one for disgrace. No, you don't. When somebody removes you, you also remove yourself quickly and you go find a new place to be. Yes. And yeah, I think this outcome is the best one for all parties involved. I sincerely believe it. Because for the guy, he must be relieved knowing that he is with a rich woman who can help him. He must be very grateful that he is with an influential woman who can pull influence and get him treatment. One who can turn the camera on and call names with no fear. This is the best outcome for the guy. It's the best one. Yeah. The new woman is also enjoying a good relationship. So yeah, she will fight with everything she has. But for the old woman, this is the great escape. She needs to go to church and thank the Lord for a great escape. You cannot run away from that. She has experienced the great escape. And those of you who are being granted your own great escapes, I wish you would hear this and I wish you will learn from it. Sometimes when the Lord gives you an escape route, shh and run. Stop wailing. Stop moaning. Reduce the noise and run. Run! That is what you are supposed to do. Run for your life. Your life depends on it. Use your energy to run. And stop wasting your time on unnecessary things. Run. When you get to safety, you can start asking questions. You can start leading discussions. Until you are safe, shut up and run. Stop bemoaning. Stop lamenting. Run. Run. Because that's what you need to do. Anytime somebody decides to leave you behind, remember this video. You may be giving a get out of jail free card. Take it and run. We will continue this conversation. Remember, I have nothing to say around the rest of the stories revolving around this case. I just want to focus on the lessons for sisters. We will continue this when I finish work. Yeah? See ya.